authority as an essential tool to prevent authoritarian takeovers of power and unconstitutional changes of government in the region. He made this statement while addressing the high-powered regional gathering at the 64th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government on Sunday in Abuja. The president identified good governance as a key catalyst to secure popular support through the socio-economic transformation and development of West Africa. And according to him, he said, the delivery of good governance is not just a fundamental commitment, it is also an avenue to address the concerns of our citizens, to improve their quality of life and create a stable environment conducive to the achievement of sustainable development. By providing good governance that tackles the challenges of poverty, inequality, and other concerns of the people, we would have succeeded in addressing some of the root causes of military interventions in civilian processes in our region. He recounted decisions taken by West African leaders to further strengthen the region's democratic achievements and uphold the right of the people to elect the leaders of their choice. The president said the bloc house outlined specific measures to be taken against any member state opting for an unconstitutional change of government. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as you do know, is the ECOWAS chair, and of course there was an ECOWAS gathering today whereby he prioritized good governance for collective prosperity with other ECOWAS leaders, heads of state and governments, especially in Abuja, and it's called a high-powered regional gathering at the 64th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. But ever since the president made this statement, there have been reactions. Now, if you've gone to space, it has generated the conversation. If the president is saying that it is mandatory for good governance to be the fundamental commitment through which the citizenry can enjoy the benefits of leadership, and then you say that the citizens have the opportunity through a democratic system of government properly practiced to elect their leaders, the question is, these countries that there have been coups and takeovers, have they been given the opportunity to elect the leaders of their choice? Which best brings to mind the controversial 2023 February 25 elections. Nigerians are still talking about the election, post-election, the dramatics, the theatrics, and the back and forth with the presidency and Nigerians from then and up till now, the consequences of the post-election. Did Nigerians elect the president of their choice? If the president is saying this at the 64th Ordinary Session where ECOWAS heads of state and government gathered to talk about democracy and the reason why, or the reasons through which coups can be deterred, coups will not be the last resort for governments or parastatals and agencies or whatever government in charge in whatever section of the country or whatever aspect of the West African region or the Central African region, that the coup should be the last resort, or if possible, it shouldn't even be a resort at all. But the question is Africa giving the people the opportunity to elect the leaders of their choice? Do they have the opportunity to actually give their voice reason? Ever since the president made this statement concerning the fact that good governance is not just a fundamental commitment, it is an avenue to address the concerns of citizens, and questions have arisen. Is the government addressing the concerns of citizens? Has the government come out to react to what Nigerians are going through post-election and the drama ever since election took place? Are Nigerians actually happy? Are they reaping the benefits of democracy? Are we seeing the benefit or the joy of a leader duly elected by the people? The Supreme Court has affirmed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu despite the controversy, despite the whole certificate debacle. But the question remains that the words at the 64th Ordinary Session in Abuja, the ECOWAS gathering there, is the president's words, is it reminiscent? Is it reflective of what Nigeria is currently experiencing under his administration? This is the reaction, these are the questions, and this is what Nigerians are asking. Welcome to the Political Spotlight right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Mwachukwu. We're currently streaming live on YouTube at Voice of the People 90.3 FM. That is VOP 90.3 FM. So I would implore you to go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share, comment. It's important for you to actually join and be part of the conversation. So tune in on there and virtually join us while we discuss today. As usual, I'm not alone in the studio, okay? But before I commence this program, I would implore you to please, when we open the phone lines, I would implore you to talk on the subject matter, the areas of discourse. There'll be no slander, there'll be no name calling, there'll be no generalization of thoughts. If there are no facts to whatever it is you're saying, please, I would implore you to just continue to observe the program, and then when you duly have the right information to share on this platform, that you can call in to share. We do not want to heat up the politics, but we want to talk about the necessary issues that is bedeviling the nation, and that's basically what the political spotlight is all about. You can follow me on YouTube at Estiq Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQMEDIA. Now, I want to introduce my guests in the program today. And of course, first off is Mr. Elvis Elimehele. He is a political and social affairs commentator. He's also a journalist, been practicing for almost 3 decades. And of course, he's very passionate about issues that has to do with the country. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, good evening and welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Good evening, Esther.
I sincerely appreciate you taking your time to be part of the conversation today.
Thank you, Esther. Good evening, our listeners.
All right. Also, Joe Okede, of course, you know, he gives it to you just as it is. He is unfiltered. Barrister Joe is a legal practitioner, a political affairs and social affairs commentator, and of course is quite passionate as regards to things that has to do with the Nigerian polity. Barrister Joe, welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Thank you. Good evening, our viewers. Good evening, our viewers. It promises to be a wonderful moment today, as usual. Yes, we are going to be hot.
All right, that's true. And if you're watching us on YouTube, the number for you to dial or the number for you to send your messages will be written across the screen there. The numbers to send your messages for us while we are actually continuing with the conversation. You can send in your comments in there while the program continues. Now, Barrister Joe Okede, the president has already implored leaders on prioritizing good governance and collective prosperity, which he said is an essential tool to prevent authoritarian takeovers of power and unconstitutional changes of government in the region. I'm sure he's referring to the West African region, and particularly referring to the Niger situation, Burkina Faso, Mali, the coup that almost took place
in Sierra
Leone as well,
and even Guinea-Bissau.
Guinea-Bissau, exactly, exactly. Where they said, "Loud it, please tell them, broadcast it, let us know." So the president is referring to these countries, and I recall the time specifically with Niger when it happened. That was when the president was just inaugurated, 2 weeks after he got inaugurated. That was a very challenging moment. It was a pivotal decision-making process of the president at the time, and ever since then, you know, it has generated the conversations. Nigerians have been talking about it. But if we try to put in context what Nigerians are currently experiencing, what Nigerians are going through, would we say that the president's words reflect what is being, you know, put in place with his administration, with his cabinet members, and what Nigerians are currently experiencing under his administration in these few months that he was affirmed as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Yes, you, Barrister. Mr. Elvis Elimehele.
Absolutely not. You see, it is very easy for somebody that is not in the field of play to spot the error of the players at the field because he is not there. I'm surprised that the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is even having this kind of advice for African leaders, especially West African leaders, where he is the leader of ECOWAS at the moment. If all this he says are actually right, then which means we in Nigeria should be celebrating our president. But unfortunately, the reverse is the case. Nobody in Nigeria is even happy at the moment with the president.
Everything.
No. 90% of Nigerian, Esther.
How are you certain? No. You can't say that.
Esther, go. You have done a lot of vox pop. You have done a lot of vox pop. Esther, you have done a lot of vox pop on this matter, and you know the reaction you get from Nigerians. And so, in the studio here, we are speaking as Nigerians, not as journalists or lawyers here in the studio. We are first of all speaking as Nigerians who were giving birth to as Nigerians before we ever became professionals in our respective area of endeavor. So now let's drop the toga of whatever you are as journalist or as a lawyer. We are talking as Nigerians. Are Nigerians happy?
You can't generalize.
Nigerians are not happy. Esther, I was sharing with you just now that today's newspaper, they're saying 2 companies have left this nation. About 20,000 jobs are lost. Nigerians are preparing. This is 2 weeks to Christmas. Have you seen the aura of Christmas on air in this nation?
Things are hard.
I mean, Esther, we are in whatever form. Esther, have you gone out to feel the pulse Nigerians are going through regarding the fuel subsidy that was removed on the inauguration of the president, the day of his inauguration? So what are we talking about? If he is giving this advice, then he should look inward. Then his managers and himself and his cabinet and all that should actually tell him, yes, we've spoken well, but we have to start, because they said charity begins at home. That's the hand. We have to start. All these African countries you are seeing coup taking place, especially West Africa these days, seeing coup play. Go and ask the citizens of those countries. The only thing that lead to coup in Africa is because of bad governance. And who are the people that are perpetuating this bad governance? It's the people that perpetuate themselves in power. Nobody, 70%, 90% of African leaders are not elected by the people. They force themselves on the people because they come up with electoral act that favors them. They come up with the INEC or whatever in Nigeria, like in Nigeria, they come up with INEC that will favor them. They come up with the judicial system, as we have just seen in Nigeria now. The judiciary has become the highest bidder now,
yes,
that favors them. So where is the citizen here? Remember, we are talking about democracy, where it's supposed to be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The citizens who own democracy have been taken out completely because they have all the wherewithal to silence the citizen. That's what lead to coup. So if the president is saying this, he should look inward, because even in Nigerians are aggrieved. Nigerians are not happy. So also is Sierra Leone. What almost happened in Sierra Leone 2 weeks ago, and even Guinea-Bissau, and what has happened in Niger. Since the coup happened in Niger, let me tell you, Esther, have you not seen that Niger looks settled? The citizens are with the military. They said to hell with ECOWAS, that we are ready. This is our government. They preferred even the military regime to the democratic system that almost made them slaves. Today, because they are in support of the government, have you had any crisis in Niger? No crisis. That is to tell you that they are happy with the government. That's to tell you that when the people accept the government, the people will do the bidding to make that government succeed. Not this kind of government that you impose on people. They tell you go to court, go to hell, then because they know that everything is within their own beck and coin. The people are not taken along. So I think this advice is that he is giving is very good for him to even use it to examine himself and examine his government and come out with the right truth, whether what he had advised the ECOWAS country head of states today, whether it's actually the same thing that is entrenched in Nigeria here. So we are waiting to hear more, because the feelers are just coming in. This is just today. Before the end of the week, we'll hear more from Nigerians on what the president has said today.
Barrister Ijeoma Egwuatu, what's your take on this? On the president at the 64th ordinary session with ECOWAS heads of state and government concerning the fundamental of democracy. The president said quite a lot of the words were flowery. I mean, these are words that you would be glad that the president can say. So the question is, so the president understands what it is, what good governance is all about, and the implication of good governance, and how it sustains democracy, how it prevents these coups from taking over. And then, Nigerians are asking the question, is the president, are his words reflective of what is currently being practiced in the country? Are we enjoying that process of good governance? Is he dishing good governance? Are Nigerians happy? Are Nigerians being fair? Or are they groaning? Are they in abject poverty? Are they leaving the country in droves?
I've been a keen follower of our president. I have the opportunity of being in Lagos State when he was elected the governor in 1999, till he exhausted his tenure and all his political activity, even when he was in Medeco and all that. I actually know the president to be a man of rhetoric prowess.
A what? Please come closer.
Oratorial prowess.
Okay, he's very good with his words.
Yes, he has rhetorics. He has good in mesmerizing people with his rhetorics.
Okay.
But in most cases, the opposite is exactly how he lives his life. Like spreading prosperity, progressives, and all that. They have always been constant in his mouth.
Yes.
If I've been following the youth leader of APC, Dayo Israel, who I knew very well, he always said that spreading prosperity, spreading riches, they've gone there to like, all those things. But when you look around, you discover that what is actually obtainable, in the real life is totally opposite of what they say. If you have been following his talks about democracy, how to secure democracy, how to ensure that people are given free hands to participate in democracy, and everything that has to do with democracy, even his speech after the election and everything, you may think that this is a man that allowed everybody to cast his or her votes freely, that never meddled in the electoral process and never unleashed thugs and the hoodlums and all the saboteurs and all sorts of people to work for him, underneath. But he does all those things and he'll go out saying something else. Like my brother here rightly stated, you don't tell somebody whether what he has in his mouth is sugar or whether it is not sugar. When you put sugar in your mouth, even a blind man will know that sugar is in his mouth. The panacea to military interventions and military coups and military incursions into democracy, not just in Nigeria, in any part of the world, is good governance. And that good governance must be rooted in free and fair elections. The bottom part of good governance in any democratic establishment is what? Free and fair election. That is number one foundation. If you have it, then it will now throw up the choice of the people. The right choice of the people. People may choose to flow with that right choice. But if they discover that that right choice is deviating from the promises made, what do? They go back to that, the power of their votes as electors, and then get him out and put another person in. That is the beauty of democracy. Once you miss it at that level, like what happened in Anambra, when Ngige was rigged in as governor of Anambra State, everybody was doing, but the foundation was very, very faulty. People were still, Ngige was not the one that we elected. Building good roads, good and fine, building the good and fine, but he was not the one that won this election. Let the mandate be returned to the person that won the election. If that person didn't do well, let us now know that he didn't do well. We can bring him out, take him out, and bring him in. But you cannot even stand on a faulty foundation and begin to perform. That background of your government is very, very important. Eventually, Ngige was removed, and Peter was eventually brought in, and people were like happy. Though Ngige was doing well, but this is the man that actually won this election. That's my point now.
Yes.
So Tinubu knew, for you to like build good governance in any society, there must be rule of law. There must be equality before the law. There must be supremacy of the law. There must be electoral independence. Electoral umpires must be allowed to do their jobs. And people that will emerge as leaders must be those that emerge through the will of the people, decision of the people, even if they are goods. Democracy might not throw in the best person. They let them throw in the person they want. If that person begins to misbehave, let them also throw that person out. But if you don't have it, if you look at what happened in 1979, within 1985, Shagari wasn't doing badly. But the actual annoyance was there were states the MPN did not win. For instance, on those states, MPN did not win. Ajastan and Womperi, they did not win it. Anambra State, MPN did not win. The MPT were Anambra State. They would MPN use all the powers of the center, federal might. That was the origin of federal might in Nigeria. It was in 1983 that the word federal might came into play. Federal might. When they used that federal might to restore power everywhere and went to court and so anyone and the rest of them played their biddings and they were able to think they thought they had consolidated. National now struck and people jubilated. So it is always not whether the people, ECOWAS, what you tell ECOWAS, if Tinubu wants to talk to ECOWAS, you rather advise them on how to make sure that there is free and fair elections in their country.
That's what he said. He said that they need to strengthen the region's democratic achievements and uphold the right of the people to elect the leaders of their choice. He's talking about the process.
The person that has the capacity to say that, although they would have said that, would have been George Weah. That actually was defeated.
And he handed over.
He handed over peacefully. He allowed the electoral, and he was defeated with a slight margin. That it was a landslide.
Yes.
But he still succumbed to that. Someone like Jonathan can also say something like that. But not someone like Tinubu that during the election, made it open that you have to grab, snatch,
and run
with it. Which exactly he did. He lacks the moral compass, the moral justification to even talk. There are certain things Tinubu will say. Ordinary people like me will basically be very, very angry with him and then believe that he's taking us for a ride or looking at people as fools. If you know you've done something wrong, which was exactly what Yar'Adua did. Yar'Adua admitted that the process that brought him in as president then was faulty. Even though he benefited, he first admitted it was faulty. But for you, Tinubu, election will happen. I know what was saying that elections in Kogi, elections in Bayelsa, and that, I heard a lot of Imo. Tinubu went to Gasho, he said that the election reflected the will of the people. Tinubu takes people as fools. Imo people knew the election in Imo was never free and fair. And Tinubu has his men on the ground that knew that there was never free and fair election in Imo State. But when the Okoloma came to Abuja, Tinubu said the election reflected the will of the people. So what's that telling you? That Tinubu has no remorse. It's a hardened electoral fraudster. I don't want to say that. Because if it's not, even if you do something wrong as an individual that you want to benefit from, in your conscience, in your thoughts, you must somehow be sober. Tinubu is supposed to be sober at the moment while addressing certain critical issues because he knew that he was completely caught, guilty of these issues. You shouldn't begin to talk as if we are not Nigerians.
Okay.
We know what transpired at the Supreme Court. We know what transpired at appeal courts, but Nigerians, we are this kind of people because we have fought wars before. Somebody, a Ghanaian told me something. He said, do you know why Nigerians are mostly docile people? I said, no. He said, Nigerians were like a lady that was raped at the time she was starting her womanhood.
Okay.
So she will develop that fear about whenever she sees a man. So Nigeria fought a war.
Exactly.
Just as they were like becoming a country. So they lost a lot of things. A major war. So whenever
reduce a particular ethnic group.
So whenever they remember the effect of that war, both those that won and those that lost. Those that lost, we were like, what we lost. Those that won, we are, what if we fight again and they win us? What if we go to war, something terrible happens? What if they now overpower us? How do we go about it? So people are cautious of going to war. See, but in like other countries, they didn't fight that such war like that.
And that's why they easily call for
They easily call for protest, for whatever. Yes. So when Nigerians are doing something, they remember the effect of the war. Things that actually happened during the war. So they suffered a shock or that lost everything they had labored for.
Remember, we had a conversation about that where somebody complained the docility of Nigerians. And I said, the 1967 war is...
And Nigeria was barely 6 years old.
Exactly.
Just barely 6 years. So that phobia is still on them. So they don't want to go into it. So we're like scared. Both sides, they are scared.
There is no infrastructural financial capacity for such a thing.
Yes,
now.
Even the factors
the poor will lose.
The factors that were present there, so I'm scared that those factors are no longer present. So if we go into that war, what favored you them and not favored you again? The one has actually changed. So those that lost, those that won, they were scared of war. So they will, but it's like, let us just, it's better we will fight and die.
But Barrister Joe, I want you to emphasize this because if you go on X or Twitter and you hear the kind of divisive ethnic and religious sentiments and biases, the kind of conversation that creates, it's wrong. And like I said, it's not something that we need to encourage.
Yeah, the war did a very bad, had a very bad, terrible effect on Nigerians on both sides. So people are becoming very, very careful not to go into that. And that they also threw up a lot of tribal issues.
It's still on. That attitude is still on.
I know we might go to that, but because of what happened in Southern Kaduna, imagine if it was somebody that the pilot, the person that actually led that group happened to be from a certain place, how the reaction would have been. So it would be totally a different issue. But luckily those that led it. So what I'm saying is that the president should be careful. What threw up coups in Africa is not because of even the people he's talking to as the leaders of West African region, the democratic leaders, how did they emerge? What processes, electoral processes threw them up? Were they truly elected by the people? Were they truly representative of the people? Can they stand before their people and say, look, the process that people actually voted me in? So how would they take the message back home? And how will people listen to them? If we want democracy to thrive in Africa, we must make sure we respect the institutions that anchor democratic processes. and allow the will of people to prevail.
Okay.
Allow the will of people to prevail. So Tinubu saying that we would have listened to Tinubu. Buhari would have said that we have listened to Buhari. But at least during Buhari's term, Buhari allowed state elections. I can give that to him. Buhari allows state elections to be free and fair. Elections that were conducted under Buhari, both Edo, both Anambra, both Osun, both those places, people that actually won were actually people that people elected.
He didn't interfere.
It was free and fair. Buhari never meddled into state elections. But I knew that Tinubu would destroy democracy in Nigeria. Let's watch and see, because Tinubu will never like to lose. And Osun said the election is coming there, you'll find it difficult to lose. There are places that you'll find it so difficult to lose. So you can do anything possible to make sure he wins that election.
The first litmus test is what we just saw in Anambra, in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi. Another one is coming, that is coming to like Edo and Ondo, that is coming to like, okay, this is actually the brain behind this government. That's Edo and Ondo coming up. By this time next year, that one is already come and gone. So what we are saying, this snatch, grab, and whatever, and wrong with it, it is the mantra of this government. This government will not sit to lose any state. They are even going to start. That Nigerians are already crying that we're almost going one party state. Nigeria should be ready. If these political parties don't do their homework well, all this shenanigans they are doing, okay, we are not part of the alliance, we are not part of the coalition. They should go and do their homework well, because what is going to happen between now and 2027 is going to be a story that is going to be history for Nigerians to read. If this present APC led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu continues in office as it is in office for the next 4 years, they are going to erode all other political parties off, especially these states. Kano is already like a state now that is swinging. Nobody knows where it will go.
The Supreme Court will give its judgment very soon.
So yes, they will just come with maybe 24 hours and tell Nigerians that they are delivering tomorrow, because they know what they are planning. So on Friday, Thursday, Friday, they made them to start signing a peace accord.
Yes, peace accord.
I mean, is it constitutional?
Well, they just don't want
Those are just trumped up things by the commissioner of police. Probably the load on him is much, and he knows how volatile that state is. So they came up with that. Good kudos to him. But
do you think that the Supreme Court will uphold what the tribunal gave?
No, we can't preempt them. These days in Nigeria,
because what the tribunal is saying, what the tribunal is saying is that
INEC has become so much emboldened to do whatever they want.
We have seen judgment from Supreme Court these days that are making Nigerians to actually question: is this really Supreme Court?
Call people that actually speak their minds, say contrary views, regard them, refer them as mobs.
Yeah.
CJN can open his mouth to refer to some people as mobs. They cannot be intimidated by mobs.
If the CJN can say that,
CJN can say such a word.
Nigerians are not on the street demonstrating. Nigerians are not destroying things. But because Nigerians said this judgment does not favor the will of the people, so then you are calling them mobs.
CJN, I cried the day I read that from a CJN of the Supreme Court, the highest temple of justice. The profession I represent. Even magistrate court is not supposed to say such. People have the right to vent their displeasure, their anger, if they are dispassionate about something, they have all the right. That is court. You even encourage them. I fight within the provisions of the Constitution. Because if they don't speak out in that manner, they can speak out in other ways that might become violent. They can go out killing people, destroying properties and lives and other things. So if they speak through the channels provided for in the law,
expressing how they feel verbally,
which is their right anyway.
You have no right to refer them as mobs, especially somebody occupying a dignified office of that nature. You don't even join in that kind of chorus. Something like that, the politicians are political language. Something so derogatory and so demeaning coming from the mouth of a CJ. It was a big embarrassment. We are even the legal profession. We are praying that God should allow us to get the normal type of the reputable and respectable juries that we used to have both, so that we even exported to Uganda and some other countries in Africa.
Gambia and other.
and Gambia and the rest of them. It's not what we saw there. So now, how do you know somebody that actually was so much emboldened? If you look at the excise, whatever that this lawyer Ezekome took to court, they fined him 40 million. It's not for court to decide what somebody will bring before the court. It is not for court to determine. It is for me as a person of a lawyer to say, okay, I am not convinced within my own judgment, assessment. Let me go and approach the court to know what the court will say about this.
We will come to the Supreme Court,
and
it's more technical linked, conviction towards issues. We'll actually come to that, because that is even the reference of the conversation where the Supreme Court is.
As a lawyer, you now sit in your chambers to know a matter that's supposed to go to court, and a matter that's going to go to court. So the fine cannot come.
No, the intimidation, the Supreme Court is even intimidating the lawyers. So the and fine, good enough, this is even a senior advocate.
Yes, that the fine cannot come to you. Say the fine must be paid by him in person. That's one that level of intimidation.
Like I said, I said we're going to come to the Supreme Court. It's important we have to come to them, because they admitted something during before the president was affirmed, concerning the president's legitimacy and the forgery details. But of course, they were able to talk about the fact that technicality prevailed. Maybe because of the timing, the whole evidence was brought in and all of that. We'll talk about that later. But let's come to what you were referring to earlier when you talked about some multinational companies leaving Nigeria under his administration, and numerous global enterprises. They bid farewell to Nigeria just 2023, and they cited unfavorable business climate as the primary reason for their exit. And the recent removal of fuel subsidy also exacerbated the challenges of operating in the country, making it increasingly difficult for multinational corporations to thrive. I want to read out some list of multinational companies that departed Nigeria this year. Some persons will say they will not completely blame President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He came in May 29. So some of these companies had left from December 2022, January 2023, and so on. So, Boat to Food is a meal delivery service provider. They also declared their discontinuation of its services nationwide. They started they're going to start that December 7, 2023. Just this December, Boat is going to stop that. The decision is being driven by a need to enhance efficiency and optimize resources. They're reflecting the challenging business landscape faced by companies in Nigeria. So a meal delivery service provider called Boat Food, you know that when you go to the e-hailing platform, if it's a delivery service you want, if it is food you want, but they said they're going to stop that. P&G, Procter & Gamble, they're a major player in the consumer goods industry. They announced their decision to cease on-ground operations in Nigeria during the Morgan Stanley Global Consumer and Retail Conference. The company attributed this strategic move to the macroeconomic realities in Nigeria, emphasizing the difficulties faced by an organization denominated in dollars when conducting business in the country. So to them, being the fact that the more into dollars and there is a lack of forex, it's better for them to possibly produce from their main country, and then we get to import it in whatever form through just say the middlemen. And of course we do know that they're going to put their monies, there will be tax and all those whatever, so Nigerians will have to pay for that. And for some of you who do not know Procter & Gamble products, your Always Pad, which is one of the vast available sanitary pad products, Pampers for children, with the first major diaper for babies. You also have this toothpaste called not Colgate. Crest is by P&G. Also Oral-B as well.
That's my choice.
Yes, exactly. Airwick, the in-house fragrance for whatever. These are the products that are made by P&G, and a couple of other products as well. These are Ariel detergents. These are products that are produced by P&G, and they are mainly household items. We'll no longer be having that access to them in terms, unless possibly we will have to divert to other products
with a higher cost.
So we'll have to do more with locally produced whatever, and we do hope that if that happens, there'll be quality All right.
Right.
We also have Unilever. They're a leading consumer goods company. They also made headlines earlier this year by revealing plans to discontinue manufacturing some of its popular products, which includes Omo and Lux in Nigeria. And the company's exit from the home care and skin cleansing categories, which affects brands such as Dove, Sunlight, Beauty Bar, Luxo, Pepsodent toothpaste, Vaseline, Lifebuoy, Rexona. You know that time that Lifebuoy was out there, all of a sudden we stopped seeing it being available in the market like that. It came back and then it's going off. Exactly. So apparently, according to them, it aims to reduce exposure to devaluation and currency liquidity. Then there is GSK, is a British healthcare and biotech firm with 51 years of operations in Nigeria, has similarly announced its departure. GSK plans to stop the commercialization of its top medicines and vaccines through local operating companies opting for a third-party direct distribution model. So products, healthcare products like antibiotics, Augmentin.
The popular one is Ventolin inhaler.
Ventolin inhaler, exactly.
My son buys this.
Augmentin
I was buying this one 1,500, 1,008. The last time I bought it was 9,500. I was shocked.
Exactly. And it's not a good one. There is Equinor, a Norwegian energy corporation. They finalized the sale of their Nigerian operations and including its stake in the Agbami oil field. There is Sanofi Aventi Nigeria, a prominent French pharmaceutical company. They have decided to close its direct operations in Nigeria and transit to a third-party distribution model starting in 2024 next year. And this transformative business model is set to commence in February 2024, allowing a yet to be named third party. They haven't named a third party distributor to handle the commercialization of Sanofi's portfolio of medicines. And so as multinational companies continue to navigate the complexities of the Nigerian business environment, these recent exits underscore challenges posed by economic uncertainties, unfavorable policies and restrictions on fund repatriation. Now others have come out to say that this company's leaving, especially from the government, is not the fault of economic environment or our policies. These are companies that are trying to reschedule, reorganize themselves. They are doing some in-house, categorization, and so it's basically not a Nigerian fault. The president has implored these multinational companies operating in Nigeria and that they're determined to remove the bottlenecks to create a smooth running of their businesses. So the president admitted that there are bottlenecks that they intend to clear off, and he begged them that they cannot do this alone. They need to work together. That's what he recently said. He says that there is no obstacle too big to be removed to make Nigeria a safe haven for large-scale investment. So he says we are very focused on resolving all investment-related issues. There is no bottleneck that is too difficult for us to remove in our determined march towards making Nigeria the African haven for large-scale investment in all key sectors. Mr. Elvis, beyond that, you have a lot of young people who are leaving. Canada too has opted its game for Nigerians, especially those who want to travel to Canada now. It's no longer it's now beyond what they had before. Even the UK too have set sanctions on persons who are coming to school there. Some Nigerians will be asked to leave very soon because some of those studies will be closed off. So we're having serious challenges. President came to address this. We thought that his economic team would set up something that would make the economic space quite viable. So the question is, what do we expect more from the administration of the president?
Very enormous. The funny part of all this you just enumerated, Esther, is that this same government is going around the globe telling Nigerians they want to bring in foreign direct investors, while those ones that were here before that we have with us are leaving. Before you start telling the new ones to come in, why don't you even think of entrenching these ones that are here so that they can have formidable and conducive environment to continue their business? Being the fact that these ones already have Nigerians in their employee, there are so many Nigerians are in their employees of these companies, and now as they are leaving, do you know how many companies, how many families that are being thrown into trauma now? If NECA could come out today and say 20,000 Nigerians are losing their employment, think of the number of dependents on those 20,000 Nigerians. You know, Nigeria in Africa here, once one person have job, it's like you are carrying the whole responsibility of a whole large family.
That's true.
So you'll be having another 5-6 dependents on that. So, and now those ones are going off. Then these companies are not, it's not as if they are shutting down worldwide, but they are leaving Nigeria. They're going to be producing somewhere, and now they're going to be exporting them into this country. Nigerians will be importing them. Then at the point of importation now, you know what it means.
Exactly.
All the duties that are going to be paid, shipment, custom, clearing, and all of that, that is going to be added to those products if Nigerians want still going to use them. And some of them are even specialized products that you cannot do away with, especially those drugs.
Yes,
Nigerians need to also assess their health care. There are some of the Nigerians that are on those medications which need to continue. So you now begin to look at all this trajectory and begin to think of these 6-7 months of this administration. Have they actually put down the necessary tools for the Nigerians to actually see that we have a change of government? That where we were coming from before, where we say it was draconian, it's not going to be, this one is not going to be worst. Because we are seeing some of these ones that are living now. President Ngambo now is one of the ones that are living now, new. And even the GSK is living. These are not from Buhari's administration. But even though somebody would have said, okay, knowing fully well that this present president knows what will be going on with Nigerians.
Do you know how much a sachet of Panadol is now?
I have not bought recently.
It's 500.
And it used to be 50 naira, 100 naira.
No,
before.
it's before this administration, it was about 200, 250.
Okay.
It's now
500. So, and that's practically one of the commonest drugs Nigerians takes every day, because we know we do a lot of hard labor here because of the economy. And everybody will say, go and buy paracetamol as you are going home, So, at the end of the day, you toil. After toiling, you cannot, and then you want to buy a little thing to eat for the family, you cannot buy it. So, one wonders, the economic team of this, like you have just said, the economic team of this government, have they actually feel the pulse of the nation and actually know what Nigerians are going through? I would completely tell you that
fintech companies, these small startup companies that aid transfer in terms of financial transfer to avoid all these bank, the terrestrial bank bottlenecks, they're shutting down. One of them is Pivo. It's a Nigerian fintech backed by Y Combinator. They're shutting down. A couple of other fintech companies too that came up last year. They're shutting down. Barely 9 or if possibly a year into the Nigerian space. So, Barrister Joe, let me ask you, because it's quite important for us to discuss these issues, and these are the factors that discourage investors. If, for example, somebody who is an entrepreneur wants to start up and they're coming to hear all of this, if you have the gigantic multinational companies closing down, you have these small fintech companies, and these are IT companies, and they're shutting down. They're saying they cannot continue. The process of doing this business is going to no longer work. Already, the fact that there are restrictions on these other companies that are not established here. OPay, MoneyPoint, these ones that do not have their any infrastructure, any operational base here. The government has told them if they're not duly registered, they will no longer be permitted to. Monies cannot be kept there. Some people will say that's a good thing, because sometimes when people's money gets missing, there is nowhere for them to go and get it. But these are the bottlenecks, and we will think that this administration would address it first, because that was what the president said in his renewed hope agenda, that he was going to make the economy viable. But he also said something that he was going to widen the tax nets. So could this be the measures for widening the tax nets?
The problem now is that why widen the tax nets?
That was what he said in his campaign.
What do you intend to use that to achieve? When people did not understand fully the meaning of subsidy, we all join in the chorus that subsidy must be removed, removed. And eventually, Tinubu, being a smart person, Buhari knew if subsidy was actually removed, that the system would definitely suffer the negative effect of that. He kept it and was able to manage it. So everything was actually a certain affordable rates, including our dollar, our foreign exchange, and other commodities and everything, till he vacated office. But Tinubu now removed that subsidy. And when you remove the subsidy, people believe that, okay, we'll have more inflow of cash into our revenue, funds, into our revenue pool. But since that subsidy was removed, people still bear the brunt of everything. We didn't see the effect of that removal of subsidy in any place. School fees were increased everywhere. Cost of commodities increased everywhere. And borrowing also continued unabated. Has borrowed even more than what Buhari borrowed in 80s. Tinubu has borrowed that in 6 months. Then the question now is, where is the money? The benefit of the subsidy removal. It boils down to the fact that fears that people expressed before Tinubu became president, which myself I also expressed. You can't send a rat to go and buy a fish for you in the market. Every leader is assessed based on people behind the squad. We call it squad when we are in school. We don't look at the person contesting the election. We look at the squad around him. Look at those squad and cover that these guys are like terrible people. They are hydra-headed monsters. They are megalomaniac people with tendency to squander and squander and squander. I don't want to mince words. Like when I saw people like Ijeoma, people like this one that Faleke and the rest of them, and even behind Tinubu, I knew that basically that the government will never have enough. I told somebody Tinubu will mobilize money for Nigeria, but 95 of that money will enter into his pocket and that of his.
Did you see a recent video of Wike in Gbajabiamila's office? They were singing the mantra. On your mandate we shall stand.
Of the suffering Nigerians. And how much were they voting to that office of the chief of staff? It's not 12 billion, 15 billion, or 10 billion. That's office. What for? It was never, budgets have never been voted into that office.
He has declined. He denied. He said that was never.
It was attached.
That's not it.
It was attached the office
that's
of
what
the
he
president.
said.
And then VP, we are building houses here and everything, whatever. At the expense of the masses. You know, when you take a step, people will know whether that step is geared towards alleviating the sufferings of the poor, good governance, or not. The steps taken so far by Tinubu, none has been, interpreted to be for the benefit of the suffering Nigerian masses. So we are into a very big problem. I don't see the economy. You rightly say people are exiting, people, fintech and all that. Before the threat, the system must be very, very conducive. And the judicial system, certain things we don't take for granted in Nigeria. People take it for granted in foreign countries. The most important thing that people take for granted in any environment they want to do business is the rule of law.
Okay.
But they know conflicts are bound to happen. And they're sure that they will get justice. So look at the arbitration system. What is the nature of arbitration in that country? They go into arbitration. Are they sure that they're going to get a fair deal? They consider the rule of law. In Nigeria, they knew what transpired during INEC and the rest of them. Even our eyes of judiciary and how everything eventually became bastardized. So if they have issues in their companies, if they have issues that they want to deal with, how would they approach the court? Would they get justice? The answer is no. Accessibility to our foreign exchange. How do they assess foreign exchange, dollars and the rest of them, RMD and other currencies at the rates they are? Can they do that? No. Another one is like the quality of their products. These giants, multinationals, they guide their products jealously.
Right.
Most of their products that dominated the market is because of the quality that made people to go for them. I think the Nigerians prefer something that they will do and get a reward for their money than things that they're not sure of. That's why if you work hard and become a brand name in Nigeria, we definitely make it. Now those products they have in the market are top notch, and they are leaders in different categories of the products, kind of a grouping. But now the economy will force them to a kind of place something like a substandard in those products. They have to go down in the quality of the products. Like let's say for instance, Rabi now, we know the quality of Rabi. A foreign exchange now, Rabi goes for 700, 300 naira before 350.
It's now 1,200. It's now 1,000.
And then when they convert that money to foreign exchange, will they still, the purchasing power of Nigerians are in decline. There was a video I was watching one day where somebody took 20,000 to go and shop. He came with so many luggages, came with so many things in 2020. And now came to 2023 with the same thing. He picked some of the handful of things in his hands. That is to show you the level of, depreciation in our kind of capacity to purchasing power. Do people still purchase their products with the level that they want to? They have to get it.
That's why I'm asking, Barrister. That's where the conversation is coming.
Can they still produce? Because if I actually have something to do with big companies, I had access to them. They have level of quantity they must produce for them to be able to pay all their workers, take care of their machineries, trucks, cars, a lot of things.
Even at the plants too.
Plants, machineries, and other things, they must produce at a certain quantity. It's right, because you might see a certain product moving market very, very well, and you see that the company is folding. You say, how can the company fold when this product is like moving market very well? You may not know that the level of production of that product, it might still be in the market, it might still be like very, very a kind of high demand in the market, but the company will be folding. That company might be doing like 50 bags or 50 tons before, but they have moved down to like 20 tons, and the 20 tons cannot afford all their expenditures. So irrespective of the fact that that product is still in high demand in the market, that the company can no longer continue production. So now the purchasing power of Nigerians are in a very, very high decline.
Yes.
So they cannot meet up with their own internal expenditures, and again they remit money. You still got the remit money in their mother companies. They have to declare profits in Nigeria, pay all our workers, give money to shareholders before they now, remit money, take money back to their country home.
Mr. Elvis, former President Olusegun Obasanjo said that it is time for the Nigerian youth to take over governance or they will never get it again. And he made this statement at the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship Program organized by Bridge Foundation. This was early in the month, I think the 1st or 2nd of December. Now, he implored the youth. He said it is important for them to retain and attain power from the older generation. He says, you are the leaders of today. If you don't take it now, you will never get it. You have to be positively disruptive. Don't accept things the way they are. You need to make those who need to be made uncomfortable. And he urged the youth not to lose focus on their political ambitions. He said Nigeria could have a turnaround in 2 years of governance if governance is on the right course. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up this conversation is I don't know how active you are on Twitter or Space, because most of these online national dailies usually hold space where they bring in a couple of intellectuals, political stalwarts, where they get to brainstorm on national issues. And you need to hear the tune, the language, the responses of a lot of these are young people. Most of them, though, are Nigerians and diasporans. But the comments in there, the reaction in there, these young people who are meant to embrace and take over, they're not encouraging. And somebody said something that politicians did something this 2023. They decided to use ethnic and religious sentiments to divide the young people who had one voice during the October 2020 that is the NSAS. The youth had never converged in such a capacity before. There was no tribe, there was no religion, there was a common goal to ensure that whatever was obstructing good governance in Nigeria stops, and that to let the people know, or the people in government know, that they elected them and they are there to do the bidding of the people. They're not there to be served, they're there to serve. That was the time Nigerians understood the essence of collective responsibility. That's what you call that civic responsibility. But if you notice during this 2023 elections, it went really, I don't know what to call it, bipolar or tripolar. And the post effect of that is still on. There is a lot of divisive comments. These are young people, strong brain minds, who possibly because of their tribal sentiments do not want to accept the current economic reality, possibly because the president is from their region. And those who are not accepting the president are possibly because the president is not from their region. And even when the president does something good, they may not compliment it because the president is not from their region. And the questions were asked. All these presidential candidates during the campaign said they were going to remove fuel subsidy. Peter Obi said the same thing. Atiku Abubakar said the same thing, that was what they were going to do. Why are Nigerians angry with the president that was the thing he did? Why is it that they are criticizing him, they're complaining on something that all the presidential candidates said they would do when they assume office? That's the question they asked. So what do you think is stopping the Nigerian youth from taking power, just like Obasanjo is encouraging them to do?
Nigerian youth over the years have been so incapacitated. You see, you just made mention of the NSAS of 2020, and that was the only time we saw Nigerian youth, galvanizing themselves to actually say enough is enough. Let us actually be part of the governance of our country. Nigerian youth have left it for too long, especially this middle youth that we started seeing since the advent of democracy. Esther, during our time, it was not like that. during our time, the military were actually afraid of the students.
Really?
Yes. By the time you start hearing students coming out, I remember so many protests that I participated as a student union member then, and I know what it took us. You see people like Ganifa Ahimi and Fahimi Falana standing for students who are arrested by the military junta then. But when democracy came, it became a different ball game. The Nigerian youth became docile. They began to start dining with the politicians, and the first thing the politicians saw into their conscious mind was this ethnic divisiveness and religion. They have been able to entrench that, and every formidable association of Nigerian students have been infiltrated. Do you know now that NANS, National Association of Nigeria Students election, is now being controlled by politicians? They determine who is going to be the president of NANS, because as soon as you get in there, they know that. So they know the power of students before now. That's why they decided to take over all these institutions that youth were in charge of before. So youth now are now being settled just the same way they settle themselves. So Obasanjo telling the youth, it's just like they are weakening them, because the youth have actually left it. Who are even the people that this economy is actually affecting so much? Forget about us that are already fathers. It's all actually the youth. Nigerian youth at 25, 27, 28, 30 cannot talk of settling down. Is that good enough? Nigerian youth will graduate even at 22, 23. Some of us did not graduate at such an early age in life. We started leaving school maybe 24, 25, 26. But we were still able to struggle. But Nigerian youth will now live at 25, 21, 22, 23. At 30, they don't have a good job. Then the economy now made them to still remain in the kitchen and the dining of their parents. Yet they are not seeing it as anything wrong. They are not seeing it as something is wrong with them. So that is to tell you, that's why they are even being reminded. Ordinarily, they are not supposed to be reminded, because they are supposed to know that, every day that goes out of your life that is not useful to you, you cannot get it back again. But unfortunately, Nigerian youths are now being so pushed to the extent that even the area they now feel that, we could do well, they brand it 419. Nigerian youth now have been so subjected to a lot of trauma that even when you hang a bag, legitimately you have a laptop for you to even do genuine business, the policeman will stop you on the street and begin to search your bag and begin to ask you to open your laptop and open your phone, because the policemen, Nigerian armed forces, have actually also believed that Nigerian youth cannot be productive. Nigerian youth are not fruitful, and the youth themselves have not taken this name that have so brought them, derailed them to the extent that they cannot even think out of the box by themselves again. Some of them are now playing the card with the politicians. That's why they are being reminded. Ordinarily, they are not supposed to be reminded. How can somebody who has the freedom to move, you are being accosted and say, please stop, because you have a certain type of hair. You have a certain type of hair on your head, which you are legitimately allowed. You have freedom to take whatever you want to turn yourself to. Then, because you have tattoo on your body, somebody will say stop. Then you are being victimized. You are being intimidated. Yet the youth is not saying anything wrong in it, because some of them have sold them off. Some of them are dining with these politicians, and those are supposed to be some. Have you seen National Association of Nigeria Youth Council? The kind of car they drive in, they've so given them this kind of luxury that the few that are in it are not seeing anything wrong with the millions that are suffering. But the millions that are suffering have actually also rubbed it upon themselves that it's the system. Who changes the system, Esther? That's the big question.
Yes.
If you don't change the system, don't take the bull by the horn, you can't get it changed. Most of these things we are talking about sometimes last month, I saw protests by youth in Ghana. For over 3-4 days, they were protesting. I didn't see that news in any of Nigeria channels. I was just laughing. I said, I was watching it one of Ghanaian channel, shut down. I was just like, is it deliberate that Nigerian channels cannot even air something like this? So what is happening in Nigeria is happening all over almost all the African countries. What they do is to make sure that they come up with policies that will make the youth to be useless. But the youth, the few ones who know their right, should be able to try as much as possible to liberate the millions who are like, it's supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that. Come on. Nobody preaches ethnicity when you are in the market. Nobody preaches ethnicity when you were writing your exam in school. Your lecturer can come from anywhere. He said the same question for all of you in the class, whether Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, whatever. And at the end of the day, he marks it and say, okay, these are the ones that did well. But when you now come out, somebody is not telling you a different ball game, and you are not buying into it. Was it like that? You know, there's one popular, this thing, soundbite that the channel, some of this station played when they telling you, when we were in school, we sit together in the same desk. Nobody was telling us where we come from.
Yes.
But now, today, every step that is taken is interpreted. Religion, they will interpret to religion angle, they will interpret to tribal angle, and they will now interpret to say, oh, it's because it is now our own person that is there now. Yeah. That's why this is coming up.
Is that why we have unity schools? This were the
remember after the Civil War, unity school came up. Yes. That Nigerians can travel any part of the world to go to school. Esther, you are a beneficiary of unity school. I was proud when I was proud when you told me that you left Lagos to school as far as Plateau State.
Yes,
imagine such thing. The same thing happened to National Youth Service Corps. The National Youth Service scheme came up after the Civil War. No, Nigerian youth should go to anywhere. The motto is unity in diversity. Some of us have to live where our own tribal area to go to other part of Nigeria to serve.
And there was quality education then.
Quality education. And even there was peace. So at the end of the day, you were in youth service, we were made to learn the culture of where you were posted
Mr.
to.
Elvis, let me blow your mind. We used to take night buses to school because all the way, remember then we didn't have these Marco Polo buses. No. It was plateau riders then. I go to Ijora with my mom, so we board the overnight. And we arrived just 5 a.m. in the morning before we take another vehicle that will convey us to Lantang. So the roads were safe.
They're safe, and you could travel both day and night. Esther, throughout my 1 year of my youth service, 5:36 I'm in Aba. I was in Uyo. I will come to Aba and take a night bus in Aba to Lagos. You know, I sleep throughout comfortably. This one is not in the 60s. It's not in the 70s. I'm telling you of 1995 here, 96. Nigeria was not like this. What is this today? But at the end of the day, since 1999, a different air came into this nation. And this air is being blown by the politicians. Exactly. They want to separate father and mother. They want to separate parents and children. Parents and children. That at the end of the day, you are not really looking at the people who have caused your problem. You are not looking at something else. So they now made Nigerians to know and say, oh, the only way you can get a job now is that on a Monday morning you are inside the church. Remember that they made the church, they made the industry to be closed down. That 70-80% of Nigerian industries are now that used to be warehouses before are now church and mosque. Yes. Bought over by churches and mosques. That's the only industry that is festering in this nation now. So in the morning, on a Monday morning, you are calling on God. Yeah, God. But Nigerians have forgotten that the Bible says, I will bless the works of your hands. And it says, walk and pray. It's not prayer first. You have to have something doing before you cannot begin to tell God, prosper what I'm doing. So Nigerians have been so pushed to this extent that we celebrate those things that are supposed to be secondary in our life. So reminding the youth is even an affront by former President Obasanjo, who have toiled through this nation. Now begin to, it's an affront on the side of the youth. The youth should be able to know where this rain that has drenched them, where it started beating them. It started in 1999. It was not like this before, Esther. Let me tell you, in 1991, when we just 1991, when we just gained admission into school, I remember the one we call anti-SAP riot. We had anti-SAP riot. Then we had the one IBB must go riot. When Ebony magazine then published that IBB was the sixth richest man in the world. I'm saying, how can Nigerians be suffering? You will remember, Barrister. How can Nigerians be suffering? The student went to the street and said no. The Nigerians are suffering. You are coming up with second-tier foreign exchange market. You are coming up with a SAP, structural adjustment program. Nigerians are adjusting. Then you are the sixth richest man. We said this will not. We will not allow this. We went to the street. Nigerians was in tumult. That was Nigerian students. Today, do you hear students? Look at Esther. Look at the increment in the school fees across all board this year.
National Association of Nigerian Students, the conference they had where they were supposed to choose their leader. You saw how they politicized it. It was politicized. So they really wanted to put in somebody that was an elected candidate of one of the son of the president.
The president was there, spending the money, spending Nigerian money to determine who was going to be the president of NAS. It's an affront.
Made it rowdy. NANS that used to be a very sacred union.
It's an affront. NANS confronted Abacha, confronted IBB during the annulment of June 12, confronted Abacha's regime till we got this democracy. Now today, politicians have infested all the organs of the youth, and now they are not in charge. They tell you, oh boy, you have to be part of it. Oh, how much? For how much? Remember that if you cannot, get what you should, we will take care of your life throughout your lifetime. All these politicians will come and go. Do you even still hear some of them? There are some governors that left this nation in 2007 that we don't hear about them. Tinubu is just lucky that he was able to hold Lagos all through the time he became president now. But it didn't happen so in some states.
Right,
so that is the issue.
Thank you, Mr. Barrister.
Let me even say something.
Okay.
Something
so I wanted to throw something
there's something I'm missing about all this revolution.
Okay.
I've always told people that it was as if Nigeria fared better during the military than democracy. It was actually a democratic system that polarized Nigeria. Most of the activists, including Falana, Keyamo, Zekome,
even Nadeko,
Abakoba, Nadeko, Fanifa, Ganifami, they were all products of the military. They were all products of the military. Because they have one agenda, they have one focus, they have one man they were fighting. They have no National Assembly members that will come to their village and tell them that, look, it is our turn. They have no House of Assembly member in the state. They have no House of Rest member that will come back and blow siren and come to their place and say, I'm your part of you. They don't have all these things. So for me, Nigerian democracy will be structured in a way that will have a pattern of the military. Pure this House of Assembly, House of Rest or whatever will be like removed. So basically deal with the president and the ministers. Because that was what was obtainable during the military. We dealt with the president.
There was no legislative arm.
And the minister, there was no legislative arm. If you look at what actually polarized the system, it's all these legislative arms. Because we have so many leaders in one temper. So many people that can reach out to the people, that can divide people the more down to their villages. Then it will be difficult for a governor to divide people up to village level. The member of House of Reps, member of House of Assembly, the Senate, they will all jointly divide people down to the village line. They will have divisions everywhere. I was telling somebody something from the east, precisely Anambra. Was talking about what was happening in Nigeria. I said it's Anambra until recently. Even now there is still that cold, war thing. I said Catholics in Anambra with highest majority. Have they allowed other religions to breathe? Do they freely allow others to win elections without campaigning in churches? Do they allow others to actually express their voting rights without taking advantage of their population? The same thing is applicable in almost even in Enugu State. It's only in Abia State, in Ebonyi State, I don't know whether it is like pronounced. But in these three states, I say even Catholics that go out as Anambra people to condemn what is going on in the federal, based on some people trying to dominate people, have they allowed politics to be played without denominational religion in the states? I said in some places it was so pronounced that a goat can emerge a leader because of the denomination, even in the Igbo land that it belongs to. A better candidate even for chieftaincy in other place might be from the other place, but somebody will rush to the church, tell the church, look, I'm a part of you, help me. So we need to begin to purge ourselves of these things from every place that will benefit. I tell someone, look, if you want to be an activist, be an activist. If you don't want to be an activist, abandon it.
Okay.
You don't be an activist where it will favor you. Your voices will not be heard. Where it will not favor you, you start shouting everywhere. Look at what happened in Kaduna State. That bombing. Was it the first time that they mistakenly bombed a place? They bombed IDPs in Borno.
Yes.
Why didn't they make noise? Because part of people that were born in IDP happen to be from Chibok. And Chibok is majority Christians in Borno State. So most of the people that formed IDP in Borno State came from Chibok houses. When they bombed them, it was right. It was not, there was no much cries from the north. But now the same bomb, and then the same bomb dropped in Kaduna. I said, what if the pilot, the only one that actually, the only one, if you look at the name of the only one, is from the north. There happens to be another Christian. I said, would the reaction have been the same if that mistaken bombing was done by a Fulani man who actually carried that operation?
Clergy said in 2017 the same thing happened, and that the northern clerics were mute.
Absolutely mute. It has happened in Borno State.
Why we are activists, we are imagine, because the president is not from the north. May God damn if that president had been like Peter Obi, who is from the east and also a Christian, or maybe Yemi Osibanjo, who is from the south and also a Christian. But now they have the two president and vice president and president a Muslim. And that's happened during the celebration of Maulud, who is like a Islamic
festival.
Festive period.
But why they are even raising their voice a bit was the person that led that operation happens to be another Christian. Yes. It happened to be another man, but another, not even from southern Nigeria. So the other man, but his name was like another Christian. The person that actually led that operation happened to be another Muslim. Not even any of them talk. So these are the problems we have in Nigeria. And at the time of Buhari, have you ever seen them come out to condemn?
But during the time of Buhari, there was this mistake. It happened twice.
Yes,
it happened twice.
It has happened
when
in IDP camp in
bombed an innocent village.
Yes, it has happened in Nasarawa. It has happened in Zamfara.
And they were mute. They accepted the apology of the military.
The level of activism in Nigeria now, under democratic dispensation, is dependent of who is in power. If somebody from your side, from your region, from your tribe is in power, you are supposed to keep your mouth mute. You don't talk because people from your side will see you as attacking your own. If it happens to be from another religion and another tribe, you become an activism will be everywhere. That's why you see them that they are not consistent. And that's why I don't respect some voices. And that's why people are even against Olusegun, because certain class of people who believe they've actually grown beyond that level.
Okay.
At the level of threat and the level of their activist pedestal, they have grown beyond ethnicity, they have grown beyond religion and tribes and all these things. They are now for the nation. But unfortunately, some of them, but you still expect them to like play that role. You still see them falling within that ethnic and religious line.
Okay.
Being caught in that way.
All right.
Now, politicians are more dangerous than the military. I told somebody one day at Bonny Camp, a military man wanted to like flog me, say because I drove rough within that roundabout them. I whined my cat and I said, I don't fear you. If you raise your cane on me, I will deal with you. I'll follow you up and trick you until they remove you from the army. Because you have no right to have anything to do with me as a bloody civilian. You're not supposed to, I'm away in a war zone, go to warfare where they have issues and go and exercise your powers and authority. But now if it is police, I'll listen to police. Police can arrest me for whatever I say I have done. If I didn't bash any car, I didn't hit anybody. So what's the problem? A military man does not know how to deal with civilians. He's afraid of the civilians because he's not trained to deal with civilians. So we see them in government, they might condone activism and all this and whatever, because them you are too soft for them to begin to like beat you up. But the civilian is dangerous. A civilian is cunning. A civilian is full of lies. A civilian lives with you. A civilian can invoke anything. A military man, basically by their training, they don't have anything to do with you. I hardly see. I know one guy in my town that died as a lieutenant colonel. I only see him in our town. Some part of our town, or whatever. He doesn't do anything with you. So when he died, even our people felt that this guy from our place, he was not even buried in our town. Not even, he was buried in the barracks. They were only mourned him in the town. He's a lieutenant colonel. But the politician that has risen to that level, we know the youth leader in the community, who have given him money as a student. You look at the parish priest, parish reverends, gone there to make donations, contribute money in their church buildings, go to women wing, go and sing and dance with them, give them money during the August meetings, donate things there. And by before he will rise to certain pedestal, he has brought over all these voices. Has brought over the voices.
All right.
Now tell them to like criticize him again. It will be a problem.
All right. We need to start opening the phone lines, Barrister Joe.
Leaders that will right from day one. Reject. I know one man in my place that was house. I said, "Joe, go and greet him." I said, "I'm not greeting him. I'm not going to greet him because this man will buy my voice."
Okay.
And I need this my voice. I said, "If you don't want to hear it again," say, "Joe, say want to hear you." I said, "If you want to see hear me, I'm not gonna go close to that man."
Barrister Joe,
It's just that.
During the affirmation by the Supreme Court on October 26th, there was something one of the judges said about the evidence that Atiku Abubakar brought or presented to the court concerning the forged documents presented to INEC. One of the things he said is that in as much as this evidence seems to be valid, they ruled based on technicality, but that why did the CSU present two different documents or two different statements? That was one aspect that the judges looked at in the question. Secondly, they asked him, they said he had enough time to have tried to get this document before the Supreme Court ruling, even before, the tribunal case. If only that was presented at the tribunal, then of course his case would have been valid. But Nigerians questioned, they said, you have evidence. You refuse to deliberately look at this evidence that were overwhelming, and you used technicality to sweep it under the carpet. I recall the last time we had this conversation, you, Barrister Joe, and Barrister Evan Sufeli said something that this critical aspect of the president's political career, which would have tumbled it, will not be repeat itself in 2027. Because the president will not make the same mistake that almost took over, or rather made his ambition tumble. Where you said something that all you need is just to read and write. I think, okay, no, you weren't here. It was Barrister Fred Nzako and Barrister Evan Sufeli who said all that particular political candidate needs is just to read and write. You don't necessarily have to put in any certificate or whatever, just to read and write. Or maybe if at all you need to tender a document, it's just your primary school certificate or so on, that's it. So long as you can read and write, then you're good to go. And then the president may not make that same mistake again come 2027. Also, the chairman of the All Progressives Congress, that is the governor of Imo State, has said and promised that all the southeastern states is the target of the APC. He said it must be delivered to the APC. In fact, let me quote what he said. He said that while he spoke this while in Abuja, and he said that they would do their best to make sure that all the 5 states in the southeastern part of Nigeria are dominated by the APC. The governor of Imo State also said that they're determined that the region will be part and parcel of Nigerian politics, consistent with what we're going to do in terms of making the best practices, that the 5 states in the southeastern region are dominated by APC by enduring the party to the people of the southeast region. This is what Hope Uzodinma said. Now, these are machinations towards the next election. 2027 is the main deal. And questions are rising. What are the opposition political parties doing about it? Recently, we saw the YPP, the Zenith Labour Party, the PDP, and a couple of other political parties say they're forming a coalition. Later, the following day, the PDP said they're distancing themselves. I think Ologunagba said they're not having any coalition with anybody.
Even Labour Party today,
even Labour Party too, has said that they're strong on their own. So the question is, how would this opposition wrestle power from the APC in 2027? The APC is not relenting. They're not sitting on their arse. They've started work already. The president has begun to dialogue with people. Friendships are being made. Promises are being kept. Commitments already being put in place. So how would this narrative change in 2027? Let's be quick in that response so we can open the phone lines.
The narrative cannot be changed if they go the way they are going now. Let me tell you, this discord you are seeing within the political parties are actually political calculation of the present APC to make sure they throw spanners into all these political parties so that they will not be able to have a formidable voice. If there is no coalition, Esther, by 2027 we might be heading towards one party state. They will write result for some states during the election, and some other ones they will grab them from the court, judiciary.
Some APC members have been installed to be resident electoral commissioners.
Yes, the one, so many of them, like the chief of staff to the Senate president when he was governor of Akwa Ibom, he's one of the resident electoral commissioners now. His name was mentioned. Nigerians, cried woefully on that. The president did not step in down. So every machinery that is needed to be put in place, the day they win an election, politicians, they are not talking about the election they won already. They are looking towards the next election. So every machinery that need to be put in place for 2027 election are already in top gear. Appointments. He has practically appointed those people that will do his bidding, and he's still going to appoint more. And they are going to destabilize so many political parties before 2027, so that they will be weak within themselves, and they can no longer talk of how to form an opposition. So if the opposition cannot come together and form formidable coalition like they did in 2014 and 2015, the former information minister, Lai Mohammed, the propaganda of that man in 2014 in pulling down Jonathan's government. the 2015 election. And you remember that when he was actually nominated as a ministerial designate for Buhari, he got to the house and they said he should take a bow because this man did all that they needed to be done for the political party to get into power.
He really did try.
He did it.
He did.
Now, who is that kind of person throughout 8 years of Buhari, and now we are in another 4 years of Tinubu? Who is it in any of the opposition party? Nobody. So the opposition, if they don't put their house in order to form a formidable coalition that will counter APC government in 2027, we will still be in the studio here, God give us life, and begin to analyze another one party state. And one party state, you know what it means. So nobody will even be able to checkmate what the government is doing. Everything Nigerians are facing now is towards one party state. Look at the election in Kogi. Look at the election. Look at what Hope Uzodinma is saying. That a whole region of Southeast that is going to make sure he gets it.
No, sure?
With this,
I'm coming to you.
Snatch and run away with it. And with this, their formula of go to court.
Barrister Joe, you're sounding very confident in that. Why are you confident? Are the people of Anambra happy under Charles Soludo, Chukwuma Soludo? Are they happy? Are you sure? Are you sure you're speaking for the generality of Anambrarians?
I'm not Soludo's fan. During the election,
but even if they are not happy,
I can remember I went to Arise when he said,
even if they're not happy, what?
So even if they are happy,
when he said,
if they decide to snatch that state, they will snatch it.
No, they cannot.
Why are you? How are you certain it's not possible?
I said they cannot.
Did you see what happened in Bayelsa? Did you see what happened in Kogi? Did you see what happened in Imo State?
Let me tell you, they cannot snatch Anambra State. They cannot snatch Enugu State. And they cannot snatch Abia State.
But Hope Uzodinma is actually giving that confidence.
Imo State was actually because it actually fell off at Supreme Court. But
remember, the Supreme Court is still in existence.
When Imo came in to restore power out of Hope Uzodinma, Rochas and the rest of them, they voted in making it a Hidua match. Why I'm telling you, why I'm so confident about it is that I know Anambra well. Anambra in particular, I can tell you for whatsoever. The political players there, one, they are afraid of blood by nature. Anambra people, Anambra is not a place you treat anyhow. They don't take them for granted. They are billionaires. They don't take them for granted. There's no level of money you have there. That somebody from the town will not challenge you in that town with that money also. There's no level of money you share. There's no level of influence you have. You will not see somebody from the same town with you. I'm not talking about local government. Before you emerge from your town to become a lord in your town, before you now go to local government level, to intimidate the whole local government and then go to states. And there was time a woman wanted to lead Anambra, not that as some few boys brought out one that was under Abacha and whatever. I said that woman will not be Joy Emodi. They said she cannot lead. I didn't know they stopped her. They also went to Abacha too. They raised money, they raised power, they raised everything. What I'm saying in essence that I know what APC is buying and I'm very funny about the police and the rest of them recently.
Okay, yes, they met,
APC
yes.
And they met. If I back and try, Anambra will only told him why you tried 3 times under APC and PDP with the ruling party.
Okay.
They never allowed him. They have a peculiar, Anthony Moye knew that there are things he will not do in that state. He wants to be brutal, they will also kill him. The instrument of the state, if you find about try something demonic or brutal, it will also consume him within his own locality too. So what I'm telling you, the APC, whatever that will make you to win election in Anambra, is to endear yourself in the hearts of the people if they want to.
If they want to.
If they don't want to, if you want to be, if Tinubu comes to Anambra to contest the election, they will match Tinubu power to power, money for money, violence for violence, and deal with everybody. That is how they behave.
All right.
And they don't even collect all this nonsense money, 5,000, 10,000.
Okay.
I said in Anambra, you cannot raise a talk to come and sterilize the election. They will kill that talk in that election there. They will trace you to your house and get you and kill you there. So it's not like a place people are hungry that you give like people 10,000, they mount polling units and begin to. Have you ever had certain ballot boxes during elections in Anambra State? Have you ever had that? They cannot try it because they know you. In Enugu State, they say whatever Hope might say. For me, we restricted Ebonyi State where APC is already the leader. And Ebonyi State was able to return that because Omahi actually did well. And he was able to also restore power from Pius Animal and some other Egwuatu and some other people there because he's the governor. In those states, a governor is better than everybody.
Okay.
But in these other places, the governor is not richer than everybody. I can tell you for sure, there are guys in number that bring up money and fight Soludo with money to a standstill and make that state impoverished.
Mr. Elvis, do you think the president ought to have come out to address the essence?
For Soludo, performance of Soludo, he's not doing badly or doing, he might not be doing excellently. But other people are not angry with him.
Okay.
Do you understand my point? I don't agree with him.
That's you, because I've been in conversations
and the state, I belong to more than 10 powerful groups in Anambra.
All right, Barrister Joe. All right, Mr. Elvis, I want to ask you something in a minute. Do you think the president ought to have come out to clear this entire CSU saga? Because at the ECOWAS summit today, a couple of people feel that the president's legitimacy is still being questioned despite the Supreme Court affirming him. Others refuse to actually, recognize the fact that he's a president of the country because he has not come out to clear the narrative about his forged documents, his forged CSU certificate, the fact that a couple of people feel the Supreme Court ruling was not objective. It was more like there were some arm twisting, the judges were bought over. There were a lot of, there is a lot of narrative concerning the validity or the legitimacy of the president. Do you think he ought to have addressed it once and for all and laid it to bed where nobody gets to talk about it, nobody gets to question it?
There's nothing he can address in it. These facts are clear. It is just because of the system we have in Nigeria that made, the illegitimacy to become legitimate, in quotes. So it's not even a can of worm that he should open up again. Okay. Because wherever he wants to take it to, the world is already aware. Nigerians are aware. Okay. So unfortunately, we don't have a system that can checkmate such things. We have systems that thrive in lies and thrives in hopelessness and deceitfulness. That's why we are having this kind of government. Nothing to be clear.
You can actually call the number 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call, 0700 903 903 903. And the WhatsApp number is 0700 903 9039. 0700 903 9039. That's the WhatsApp number to send your messages to. The number to call is 0700 903 903 903 903. We do apologize for not calling out the numbers on time. We actually had a lot to dissect on the political spotlight. So when you call, please, you have a minute to quickly express yourself because we have another program coming up in the next 20 minutes. So 0700 903 903 903. Hello, welcome to the political spotlight.
Hi.
How are you? Evening. Name and location, please.
Yeah, this is Remy from Makoka.
All right, please go ahead. You have a minute.
Yeah. I beg to differ with the assertion that the opposition can probably take charge from the ruling party if they come together.
Okay.
The question we need to ask is, will the opposition be in charge of INEC? Will the opposition be in charge of the judiciary? Because these are the two major institutions being used by the incumbent. So will the opposition be in charge of those two? The only reason a state like Abia State went the people's way was because the woman in the REC refused to go to the tune of what's it called, the parking power. That was the only reason Abia went the way the people wanted it. Look at River State. The result the INEC uploaded and what they declared that doesn't tally. On the result they released, it wasn't APC that won, but INEC gave a different result. And there are different reports from Premium Times to the EU, to Lega Africa, telling us that the result they collected, APC never won that election, but INEC declared APC. So in that situation, will the opposition change that? So the system has been skewed. And the only solution is when people rise by themselves, not opposition. It is the people, when people rise, we don't want this, maybe incessant protest, as long as it is peaceful. But believing that the opposition can do anything, will you be in charge of judiciary?
Thank you.
Will you be in charge of INEC?
So you're saying that in the case of Abia State, if not for Professor Nena Oti, it wouldn't have turned out to be the way it did.
If not for that woman, we saw it took days. She refused. If not for her, it wasn't because of position. It's because the woman chose not to turn down to the tune. Okay. So if you are believing Ethiopia and whatever come together, will they be in charge of INEC and judiciary? We saw what Supreme Court did with the cases they brought before them.
Okay.
We saw what they did.
Thank you so much. We need to take other calls, okay? Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
good night.
0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. I like the angle he came from. He's saying that despite the coalition or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. It's all about the fact that the judiciary and INEC, those are the two main institutions. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is
Your name is Nemeka.
Yeah.
All right. I can hear echo. I don't know where you are, but there's an echo. But go ahead.
But is it okay now?
Yes, just go ahead, please. You have a minute.
All right. My take goes to Hope regarding my issue.
Okay.
It's living on Cucumber Line. You know why I say it's living on Cucumber Line? If you think that Anambra State is like Imo State, he should delete that thing from his mindset. He should delete it from his mindset. That when you go to BBC record and CNN record about Nigeria election, especially Anambra State, we don't already fucking up. We need good governance. That's why you see Anambra like that. If you see that wants to be that Imo State, you can give it to some part of Nigeria. It's having a Californian dream.
All right, thank you.
Let me be honest with himself.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Name and location, please.
Yeah, this is John Legend calling from Mushi.
All right, John Legend, you have a minute, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. The only place election out of the whole 36 states where election was held in Nigeria, the only place that the real election took place was in Abia State. Every other state there was no election. And the problem in Abia State is that the people determine who they want.
So
even till that day, I'm close to wanted. Yes, the people they wanted that night before the result, nobody slept in Abia State. All of them were in the express. Say, let them announce the person that which is not the person they want. They will destroy that place that day because right from Auchi Okalo, Abia State have been witnessing a very bad government to change the Auchi. And this past governor Ibazu, Abia State have been in a typical mess. Even during the time of military, Abia State have been in a typical mess. So this time around, they decided for themselves, say, neither you close Abia State or you give them who they want. And that is why when this woman saw that, I know Abia State used to do, they like Abia State like jungle justice. They don't do all this nonsense other people are doing. We are determined that day, neither there will continue there must be Abia State or there will be no more Abia State. That is what happened. So forget about all these things.
Are you saying that other states did not determine whom they wanted to?
There was no election. That was election. Where did you want to? Oh, I'm from Imo State. Even in my own community, there was no election in my own community. In my own community, where people they killed the king of that village killed. There was no election, but they gave him figure in my village.
There were results from.
Who gave him figure? Who gave him figure? There was no election in Imo State. What they just did is just rewrite. Please, it was only Abia State out of the whole that 6 states. There was election. That is only Abia State, no other place in Nigeria. Take it or leave it.
Thank you. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Kindly turn down the audio of your radio, please. Turn down the audio of your radio.
I'm calling from Ketu.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So, what I really want to say is in support of what somebody has said already. Yes. If the party, maybe INEC, and the judiciary judges from a particular party, I tell you, whatever you like do, they will turn the election upside down. This I just said somebody is talking about. Despite the electoral commission of I just said that woman, all the things whatever he's talking American. It's only that woman who vows to say she will not allow that to happen. That the person who won the election will be on the other seat. That's why Oti is That's it. If not, if out their life, may they turn themselves upside down. They will not do anything.
All right,
so
thank you.
Number one
thank
is the judges and the INEC. If they belong to a particular party, there's no other thing I'm talking is. Nothing can change it.
All right, thank you. 0700 903 903 903. That is the number to call. The WhatsApp number is 0700 903 9039. Let me read out some messages. I would implore you, if you're calling, I don't pick, please. I simply apologize. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in this studio. I'm Christian from Ilasa. Concerning Tinubu saying about good governance during ECOWAS meeting, as a good leader, he should lead by example. We Nigerians see how bad our country is currently. Okay? Chinedu from Badagry says, it is very disgusting to think of seeing Nigeria United Nation and with a military democracy at the same time hearing a first lady telling her group how they want to use, I'm not going to read this out, you have no facts to that. Evening crew, 127 killed like chickens due to negligence since 2017, as if it's a mistake. It's NSAR's killing to a mistake in which this government, past government, even the Lagos government are complicit. Private companies shutting down operations due to no power, no security. Diesel is on the high side. Economic disaster due to bad governance and policies. How will foreign investors come to invest in these worst state? The worst thing of all this is that Nigerians will have to bear more pain for the next 3 years and some months. It's a shame. The worst of us is ruling the best of us. Truly, there was a country. Dio from Fagba. Okay, thanks, Dio. Good evening, Esther and you guys. Believe me, Esther, that Tinubu will not run for 2027 election. It's just an ambition for him to become president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by force, by fire. That's why he said, grab it, run away with it, snatch the ballot box, and even do everything possible for him to be called president by name. Is okay. Kelechi from Oshodi. All right, thank you. Good evening, Madam Host. My name is Nemeka from Ejigbo. With what you're saying, that means a country have been stolen out, just like this third parties they're talking about is lawmakers and their companies. My country, Nigeria, is finished by these so-called strongmen. Now I understand the old man who says that if you didn't love me, that means you don't care for me too. That's what is playing out here in Nigeria. Those call themselves leaders, they never love this country, neither did they have the country in their hearts. All right, okay. Thank you for that message. You did not tell me your name. Please, next time, put your name when you send messages. It's very important. Nigeria is the fish. Its current ruler. It's okay. It's a turn to feast. In less than 4 years, President Tinubu would have traveled and taken more loans than Buhari did in 8 years, and the name of Nigeria would continue to be glorified with whatever ills and abnormalities associated with its political rulership. The recent political budget of trillions is just a way for Tinubu, especially and others, to get back all they spent during election. You would think they get into power and not get all that they spent back? Nigeria can never move a tiny inch forward with dubious, selfish, greedy, and criminal-minded individuals in power, and yet some citizens who are suffering would still campaign and vote for same politicians who put everyone into it. What a pity. Just as rocks can't turn into water, maybe Nigeria is synonymous to suffering. Okay, please always put your name. Always put your name when you send messages. All right. Okay. The army and police should continue to allow themselves to be used to rig elections and intimidate the people, because I'm very sure that the army and police have people of their own in every corner of Nigeria, and we're suffering it together. Okay. What's your name? Chemera from Agbara. All right, thank you so much. Good evening, Esther Wachukwada, our guest in the studio. Since this administration came on board, all we have been seeing and hearing from them is not encouraging at all. This government is very much aligned with this adage that say, do what I say, but don't do what I do. The earlier, the better. This Tinubu administration realized that most Nigerians are really suffering and should do the needful to alleviate the sufferings of the masses before they will all take to the streets. Nigeria is blessed by God in all ramifications. Therefore, Nigerians deserve better leaders who will listen and care for the masses at all times. Emmanuel Chijoke from Ikoto. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that message. Okay, I can take your calls now. 0700 903 903 903. That is the number to call. Hello, name and location, please. Good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Name and location, please.
My name is Isaac.
Isaac. All right, please go ahead.
I call from Ikorodu.
All right, go ahead, please, Isaac. You have a minute.
Yes, I want to talk about that your guest who referred to Lai Mohammed in 2014 and 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during that Jonathan government, everybody we have freedom of speech and expression. But we recall that even in Muhammad Buhari tenure, that is where they brought hate speech and fake news.
Okay.
So because of that, people are scared to even speak their mind. Even you people at the media, you do not allow people to speak their mind. So it becomes very difficult for people to speak against the government. That Jonathan time, they were castigating his government and everything, but there was nothing like a speech or freedom of speech or fake news. So by this time, you see that people no longer express their feeling because of the kind of government that we are into. So nobody wants to be arrested.
Okay.
So that is it.
All right, thank you. Thank you. 0700 903 903 903. That is the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. People can't sit down in Lagos and say what will happen in Southeast. The same narrative they gave us during Imo election that APC will not win. They should allow people at home decide their faith like Imolites did. Olu from Padagri. All right, Olu. Good evening, Esther and Co. in the house. Please, Nigeria only has 3 solutions. 1, regional system of government. 2, make way. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this, please. All right, the truth is that APC is doing everything within their reach to turn Nigeria into one-party nation, but everything that has beginning will definitely come to an end. Destiny from Mushi. And Destiny still says, Imo State has the highest number of professors in Nigeria, but I don't know why they are keeping quiet on all these issues. Destiny from Mushi as well. Remember that the president said that he knew many did not vote for him, but he is now the president. All right, Destiny, thank you for all of that. Destiny sent 3 messages. 0700 903 903 903. That is the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hello, name and location, please. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, people are doing well.
Thank you.
Please, I want to contribute. You see, concerning the coalition of parties coming together to take power from APC, I think they are just joking. They are deceiving themselves. You see, with the present structure of this APC government, even if all the parties in Nigeria, including their counterparts in Britain, come together, there's nothing will change. Where are they going to succeed? Be in this present APC police, under APC judiciary, how can they do it? The truth of the matter is that unless the Nigeria masses rise up and protest for the change of this structure, nothing will change. That is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, comments on YouTube. Now here una go day talking of Tinubu and leave una problem, carrying that person problem for head. Ms. Mirai says, #Okwe, Tinubu is running this country and you're here talking like it doesn't affect you. I guess you're part of our problem. Ade Phillips says, evidence of forgery was valid, but what? Ms. Mirai says, Ade Phillips, should we keep swimming in an infested water filled with crocodiles because the crocodiles are yours? TY325 says, if you admit that the evidence of forgery was valid, then why did you rule for Tinubu? PNG is a US-based company and I do not blame them for getting out of Nigeria. Nothing's working in Nigeria. Ade Phillips says, common sense always. Tell us not to read meaning to a statement we don't understand. It's good to ask for clarifications. If the evidence of forgery is valid, then why didn't he do the needful? Ade Phillips also says there is no law anywhere in the world that uses technicalities to validate wrongdoings or illegality. Ade Phillips still says right now in the UK, a law has been passed whereby you cannot bring your family with you to join you in the UK unless you earn about $50,000. TY335 says, do not blame these companies for moving out of Nigeria. I and 2 of my friends, IT professionals, were planning to establish a database and software company in Nigeria, but we had decided against it. TY335 says, simply they are telling Nigerians to stay home with their families. Okay, there's quite a lot of these comments. All right, 0700 903 903 903. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Evening.
Yeah, I'm calling from Barua.
All right, Justice. You'll be our final caller of the program today. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
I said you'll be our final call on the program, but turn down the audio of your radio or your device, whatever it is, wherever it is you listen to program from.
All right. So what I want to contribute to all these things I've been saying on the radio, you do what you are doing your best and other things. It's not making impact on the government side, I think, from my own opinion, because the way things are going now, every day the same story, the same fact. Like you said about Imo State, there's no election in Imo State. You are almost arranging stuff. So, I don't know.
All right. That's why we're having. That's where you come in here. That's why you're the analyst. Thank you so much for calling. He's saying that our conversation is not making any impact. According to him, he's saying that we're saying the same thing over and over here, but they're not seeing any resolution. Possibly he thinks the government is not listening. What's your final take on that, please? You have a minute.
People's revolution. You can see that's what everybody is almost pointing to one direction. But we don't want to be on air and say something that might be viewed as instigating people against the government. Like Obasanjo rightly spoke in parables. Nigerian youths and elders, not just youths, Nigerians should wake up and take back their country. Whichever way, that might not be through the balance. Because we have seen they have mortgaged every avenue through which we are going to take back this country through the ballot, revolution. Let us explore other means, but let us take back our country before it becomes too late.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister John Woked. Mr. Elvis?
Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If any of those people that we made mention of by, for, and is taken out, it is no longer democracy. It becomes anarchy. That's what I saw a video 3 days ago by area father. By area father was Charlie Boy. Charlie Boy said, from his youth, he has been fighting for Nigeria. Now he's in his 70s. That he will not lead protests. The youth should be at junctions. If he hears that the youth are already at any of the junction, he will join them. But if the youth is waiting for him to say Charlie Boy at his 70s now begin to lead protests, he will not do it. That's another corroboration of what former President Olusegun Obasanjo have just said. So the youth should know that if they have to live a better life, not running to go and become slave in another person's country, they know what to do. You know, that is a big question. Know what to do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis Salim Hele. Barrister John Woked, I sincerely do appreciate your input on the political spotlight.
Thank you, Esther.
All right, my name is Esther Nwachukwu. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP 90.3 FM across the social media handles VOP 90.3 FM. Follow me on YouTube at Estic Media on YouTube. That's ESTIQMEDIA. On Instagram is Esther Nwaz, ESTANWAZ, and on Facebook is Esther Nwachukwu. Do have yourself an amazing